Hello viewers, it's Evans Racing here, and we will be doing a mod season career based off the 2022 F1 season, which is for this year. And we've got all the driver swaps, we've got all the driver names, we've got the liveries, we've got the driver suits, we've got most of the drivers' helmets, and yeah. This mod is really good. I'll probably have it in the description down below if you want to have it for yourself, but it is PC only. And there are some limitations to this mod. For example, as you can see here with the Mercedes car, we don't have the 2022 car models. We have to use the old 2021 models. We've also done the performances. However, some drivers will have the old drivers one. For example, Kevin Magnussen will have Mazepin's driving stats. So it is realistic to a certain point. As we go through all of these, the liveries and the cars and who's driving for which team, if you didn't know already, the 2022 lineup. The Alpine, I went for the pink one, the full pink alternative livery. Same thing for McLaren. I went for the more black and orange and the blue and black, the blue and orange. The blue didn't look good with the mod, but that's just my personal opinion. But I think for this mod's career, we will be driving as Kevin Magnussen, the Haas F1 driver who recently just joined, literally been in the team for, I don't know, how long has it been, like 3 weeks, and he's already been set off to a very strong point for Haas already with the new season. This means that we will have this guy as our team principal for Haas. So obviously we've got George Russell, who's going to be in the Mercedes alongside Hamilton. Then in the Haas we're going to have ourselves as Kevin Magnussen and Schumacher. In the Williams we've got the return of Alexander Albon and Latifi still there. And for Alfa Romeo, with their brand new livery, which looks actually really good with the 2021 car model, with Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu. So we jump straight into qualifying now, as it was in the background already. Just doing some laps around. Short format though, we're using the short format and the 25% race for this season. As we go across the line for a 1 minute 28.555. Fairly strong first run. As we now start our second lap. But what I did forget to do, I've got to change my tyre. I forgot to put on new sets of tyres. So we're on our old used tyres, which are 2 laps old, I think. No, 3 laps old. As we come into the first corner, hitting the apex, accelerating as much as you can, gaining time and then losing out on the exit as we go into the straight with 30 seconds to go, as Jeff tells us. Coming into the third corner, accelerating, now into the flowing left, right, left. Almost forgot how it went then. Coming into this corner, braking heavily, and then accelerating out. A tenth behind our personal best. Now onto the straight with DRS fully open. Onto the third last straight. This is down here into third gear, revving out the car quite a lot actually than I was hoping for. But then we do get a lot of good engine braking. Now we're coming into the second to last corner, going over the curve a bit too much, losing even more time. We're now lost 2 tenths of our personal best. Coming into the final corner now, into third gear, fourth gear, accelerating, DRS open, and across the line, and with no improvement.
Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box, and it's fantastic to have you with us here today. But I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the run down into turn one. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid
This is
rundown
the
looks like.
looks
Young
of the
superstar
grid
Max
for the
Verstappen
start of the race. We're going to
starts
have
from pole
Max
position,
Verstappen
talented
and
Spaniard Carlos
the
Sainz
Ferrari
leads
driver
the
of
front row.
Carlos
Moving on
Sainz
to the
looking
rest
out
of
the
the grid,
first
we
row,
have
with
Leclerc,
Leclerc and Hamilton
Hamilton,
behind,
Sergio
Perez and us,
and
Kevin Magnussen
Mazepin,
next, with
Bottas,
George Russell and Fernando Alonso next, Guan Yu Zhou and Pierre Gasly, Mick Schumacher, Esteban Ocon, Lando Norris, Yuki Tsunoda, Valtteri Bottas and Daniel Ricciardo, Vettel and Stroll, and then finally on the last row we've got Alexander Albon and Nicholas Latifi. This is going to be our strategy, obviously because we used the same set of tyres twice and because they're also the soft, it means that we will have to be pitting around lap 4 to 5, whereas the the other teams and drivers will be probably pitting about lap 7, 8. So we're also going to take some fuel out the car because we need to make the car as light as possible to get the maximum out of the corners. So now we go for the Bahrain Grand Prix, and the 5 red lights go out now, with Max up and getting off with a good start. We also got to get off to a good start, going to the outside now, as we try and make a move around the outside of Fernando Alonso. Now coming in for the inside now, accelerating. Still around the outside, he's still there though, and we get the move done. But he's going to have another go at us, braking late, going around the outside still, keeping it just within track limits, and we get the move done over the experienced driver. As now we just try our best to stay with Sergio Perez in front, because obviously they're in the Red Bull, and if we can keep up, then that would be good. As now Lando Norris tries to make a move on the Spanish teammate of Ocon. Goes around the outside and he's still there. They're still fighting, wheel to wheel fighting. Lando pushes him out wide. Still with him side by side, wheel to wheel. Keeps going and he just gets the move done just before turn 9, I think that is, with the Google Chrome wheels, which to the mods is in there. Now we switch over back to us now, coming into the last corner. As you can see, we're just losing time to Sergio Perez, which is expected because it's a Red Bull and they've got loads of pace.
We're approaching the pit window. You'll be on the mediums.
As we go onto the onto the home straight, coming into turn 1 now, braking heavy, trying to keep up with the Red Bull. We still no DRS. Coming into the final corner, about to start lap 4 out of 14. As now Charles Leclerc tries to make a move on the 7-time world champion around the outside of turn 1. Now he's got the inside for turn 2, and then now it's accelerating out of the corner. And he gets the move done, but can Sergio Perez now make a move on Hamilton? No, he can't. So he will have to wait a bit more longer and be patient. As now we are about to get overtaken by Alonso. Ego's just using the DRS, but we do cut the corner a little bit, but the FIA don't see it, so we take it. So we keep going using our ERS to stay in front, but the Alpine driver comes back at us. And we go for the switchback move, but it doesn't quite work out, so we keep going around the outside and we get the move done as he finally backs out of the move. Now we're coming up to the second to last corner again, onto the straight. Now coming into the final corner, braking at the 100-meter mark roughly, going for the cover a bit too much there than we would have wanted, so yeah, but because it's lap 4, this is the lap where we come into now. So we're now coming into the pits. The first driver to come into the pits as well, which is what we was expecting. Decent pit stop by the Haas pit crew, and we're straight back out. And now we're going to be about 12 seconds behind Nicholas Latifi in last place, as we see us back there coming out of the pits. And now it's all about using these nice, fresh, sticky tyres and just maximising the grip as much as we can and get the most out of these tyres to try and catch up to the cars in front. So we've got 13.2 seconds to catch up to, but they do still need to pit, so that's not too bad. As we look up the tyres a touch in here, not a lot of traction on the exit there, so we had to correct it. Coming into here, hopefully we don't lock up our tyres, we do a little bit, and now we cut over to Pierre Gasly, who must have some bad tyre wear, as now he's coming in on lap 5. And can the AlphaTauri pit crew put in a good pit stop? Yeah, so he puts on a fresh new mediums, and now we're coming across and we overtake him whilst he's in the pits. But we are gaining on Latifi about 1.8 seconds a lap roughly, because it's now gone down to 11.1 seconds now. Just try and use all our ERS. We've got 70% left. As now we go to this camera shot from the helicopter as we look up our tyres a little bit into turn 3. Now coming up to the flowing left, right, left. And then into the right hand hairpin. Keeping it nice and tight as we look up again. Look ups are quite, you might see them quite often with me, because up again, but we're getting good traction now as we are still gaining on Latifi with our new sets of tyres, and we do set a personal best in sector 2 as now Mick Schumacher now comes into the pits. We now go over to Daniel Ricciardo, who's now hits the apex but then puts his foot down too much and spins his car around. And he goes flying down the order as a knife through butter, as they say. Now we switch over to Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, who both come in on lap 7 to fit their new sets of tyres. As for Verstappen and Charles and Leclerc get a bit close there. Nice quick pit stop by the Ferrari. As now we switch over to his teammate Carlos Sainz, who's trying to make a move on the Canadian of Lance Stroll. Going around the inside of the last corner, keeping it nice and tidy, hitting the apex, and having nice traction on the exit, and gets the job done. As then we switch over back to us and we get a bit squiggly on the steering on the exit, trying to keep our car under control. As we lock up again, just can't seem to get the right brake balance by us. Coming to this corner, we lock up again, and as you can see, we are 4.1 seconds off of Perez. So as you can see, we just haven't got the pace to keep up with them, but we have got the pace to keep ahead of Pierre Gasly. As we are revving our car a bit too much, revving out the engine a little bit, going into the wrong gear. And now we switch over to Lando Norris, who now comes in as the race leader on lap 8, and who's now probably going to lose these. As there goes Max Verstappen across the line, and now Verstappen regains his lead at the front. And now we switch over to Sergio Perez, who's making a move on the 7-time world champion finally, going around the outside of turn 1, but then we'll have the inside of turn 2. Doesn't cut the corner like we did, but managed to get the job done. But will Hamilton have DRS and fight back? No, he won't. So Perez gets the move done and is now up into P4. Now we switch over to our teammate, who's now making a move on Zhou Guanyu. No, that's a lie. He's making a move on Fernando Alonso. Going around the outside, doesn't quite work out, but we'll have DRS for this straight. And we'll pass him around the outside, and Zhou Guanyu tries to go around the outside, but it doesn't quite work. But Schumacher gets the job done. As now we come into the sort of hairpin sort of type, braking heavily and then a bit too much, and then we try to accelerate too much to get the traction down, but we end up spinning our car, trying to regain, and we fly down the order into P12. Well, now we use all our ERS to stay with them cars to try and if we can overtake them again. As now we go up into these corners, still getting a bit, trying not to go over the curve too much because as you can see, it unsettled the car. We now cut the corner a little bit, but somehow it gives us a bit more traction, and we use all our ERS using the Ferrari power unit over the Mercedes, just basically the same pace somehow on the straight. We go around the outside into the last corner, and we get the move done over Lando Norris, and we've also got DRS. And now it's Yuki Tsunoda who tries to make a move on Ocon. Around the outside of turn 1, now into turn 2. Doesn't cut the corner like we did, but gets the move done just about. But now Valtteri Bottas is trying to make a move on Ocon now, around the outside, keeping it just within track limits, and he also gets the job done over the French. As now we're trying to catch up to Zhou Guanyu, braking heavy but locking up the tyres and making a little bit of contact with Zhou Guanyu's gearbox a little bit. Now trying to keep it nice and tight, with now a set of personal best in sector 1. As now we look for a move, but Zhou Guanyu tries to defend, but leaves space, and we stick our nose in, and we get the move done. And now we try and catch up to Fernando Alonso with DRS open, ERS as well, trying to catch up to him on the straight. Not going to too far back to make a move quite now, but we're going to have to be patient and wait for the right moment to overtake the Spaniards. Now coming in here, using all the carb on the inside there to get the most amount of traction, using our ERS now, and as you can see, the Ferrari power unit much more better than the Renault power unit. Even though he is still there, we keep the inside, still wheel to wheel, DRS open, and now we get the job done completely. As now we cut to the outside now for the racing line, but he comes back at us. He goes late on his braking to the inside, but then now we have the inside of turn 2, but then we get a lot of wheel spin, and we are on the exit, and we just don't have the traction to do so. As now Valtteri Bottas is now making a move on Yuki Tsunoda. Doesn't quite work out on his first attempt, but now on his second attempt with DRS and ERS properly. Going around the outside of turn 3 as someone's locked up, as you can see some smoke there. Goes around the outside just like he did with Esteban Ocon, and gets the move done as well. And now obviously we've got Ricciardo, who spun earlier. He's now fighting the Canadian of Lance Stroll for last place, for second to last place. Going around the outside now and for the inside. Still wheel to wheel, some good wheel to wheel fighting here. even though it is for last place, well, for 19th, but they're still going at it, still coming in here, trying to push him wide. Still wheel to wheel, and Lanshaw's got DRS, but because I got the same power unit, not going to make much difference, as Daniel Ricciardo does his late braking like he always does, and just goes around the inside and gets the job done over the Canadian. Now we switch over to us, who we are now going to try and make a move on the Spaniards, trying, if we can, try and do what Ricciardo did but didn't quite do here. But we decided to back out for the better of it, as Joe Guan Yu tries to make a move on us, but he doesn't work out for him. DRS and ERS are used around the outside, and we're now up into P9 behind our teammate. As now Carlos Sainz makes a move on the Dutch driver for the race win on the last lap of the race, lap 14 now. He makes the move done, as there's some early fireworks going off. As now Charles Leclerc makes a move on Verstappen now around the outside, and he also just keeps it within track limits and also gets the job done. And Max Verstappen goes from the race leader down to P3. And now Lando Norris is now making a move on the Spaniards for 12th place. No, for 11th place. Goes around the inside of turn 2 and gets the job done. And now we switch over back to us now for the second to last corner. Just trying to catch up to our teammate Mick Schumacher, but 1.6 seconds behind with a lap to go. Don't think we're going to be able to have enough pace and enough tyres to actually catch up to him, but as long as we stay ahead of Joe Guan Yu, then it's fine. So at the moment we're currently fighting, well, we're not actually fighting, but we're trying to keep P9, which will give us 2 points for the driver's standings. And yeah, Carlos Sainz now coming through the last corner, getting all the traction, and comes across the line, and it's Carlos Sainz who wins the Bahrain Grand Prix, with Charles Leclerc in second place, and Max Verstappen, who was winning the whole race, and now comes third. And now we come into the last straight, coming all the way down. As you can see, we're running out of fuel almost into the last corner, not quite able to get to catch up to our teammate, but we do come across the line for P9.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
And it's Pierre Gasly who gets driver of the day.
Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think that smart tyre management on track and very smooth driving definitely assisted in their victory today. That combination meant they got the absolute maximum out of their tyres at all times.
Last win for a world-class team. Ferrari do it again.
So that was some good wheel-to-wheel. There was lots of good wheel-to-wheel battling going on throughout the whole race and the whole field with all the different drivers. Driver standings will basically be the same as the race result because it's the first race. The constructor standings, we are currently P5 because Schumacher got some points as well while he finished ahead of us. And yeah, so if you did enjoy this video, please do like and comment down below if you want to see some more of this. Also subscribe for more racing type content, and I'll see you in the next race in Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, where hopefully we can beat our teammate this time.
Summer.